Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Link Up. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. I'm so excited about this episode because this week we're going to talk about storytelling. That is the reason why I decided to become a journalist. I really loved hearing and sharing stories, the lives of others, the triumphs, the struggles, and all of the things in between from the people that I would encounter on a daily basis as my job as a reporter. I really found inspiration from these people. I really drew insight, and really it opened my eyes and really allowed me to just gain good perspective. And with Link Media, that is what we desire to do. Not only are we building this network of women that we are empowering and helping to climb the ladder of success in corporate America and as entrepreneurs, but we're also working to help share the stories of some phenomenal women so that you can see their journey and you can glean from it. And also just to be able to just shine some light on some amazing people. And I am just so blessed to be surrounded by some of those amazing women because they constantly inspire me, whether it's from up close or afar. They constantly push me and also encourage me to keep going, keep building Link Media, and keep telling these stories. And so today, I'm so excited to share the story of Alicia Jay. She is a phenomenal woman. And when I tell you this woman has done it all, she has been featured on TLC's My Giant Life. She has been all over national television, making some press runs at E's Daily Pop and The Doctors. She's also a podcast host, an influencer, and she's also the founder of tallswag.com. And if you don't know, now you know, you need to check it out. So thank you so much, Alicia Jay, for joining us today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for those beautiful words. Like when you say that you're surrounded by women who inspire you, lift you up, you're definitely one of those ones for me. So I'm just thankful to be here today. I'm very proud of what you're doing with Link.
I'm so proud of you and I love your story. You know, guys, just for context, Alicia and I met because of another friend that you also met on this show, LaChina Robinson. And she said, you have to meet Alicia when you move out to the Bay. And so Alicia and I connected when she was working in the NBA, and we connected at a game, and we just became friends since then because we knew that we were two women of faith out here just really aspiring, hustling and grinding. And so, and also Black women in the Bay, hey, we got to connect and stick together, girl. So, so I appreciated your just open arms when I moved out here to the Bay Area, but I also loved just hearing your story. And for those who don't know your journey, take me back to Portland. Take me back to the beginning of your journey.
Well, Portland is where I grew up until I was about 9 years old. And that's when my parents got a divorce. And my mom moved us from Portland to Beaverton, Oregon. And it was a vast difference. So Portland, the neighborhood that I grew up in, was predominantly Black. And then we went to Beaverton, which my brother and I were two of maybe 30 kids of color in the whole school district. So it was literally like day and night going from one place to the other. And quickly when I got there, I was called, and I'm not going to say the word because I don't know if we can on here, but I was called the N-word for the first time walking home from school. And that was when my dad had to tell me, exactly what that was and, what the world thought of me as a person who was Black. And I'm sure that was a hard conversation for him to have. But to be honest with you, I went through a lot with racism in Beaverton, and my parents kind of let it happen in a way because they wanted me to know what the real world was like. I'll give you an example. I used to have a fourth grade teacher who would bring me up in front of the class and tell how bad my scores were on a regular basis. And my parents would come up to the school and, fight it, and she would deny it. And it wasn't until, the other white kids in the class would complain to their parents that something was done. So it happened for a really long time. And I literally asked my parents later, why didn't you just pull me out? And they said, you can't pull yourself out of life. You really have to know what the real deal is, to make it in this world and to really walk through it, being proud and knowing what's going on around you. So there was that. And then in addition to that, I was also head and shoulders above everybody else. I'm 6'6" now, but just to give you some context, going into middle school, I was 6'3". So people berated me for it. They saw something that was different. And so not only was I bullied because of my race, not only did I experience racism, I also was bullied because of my height very severely, which was really hard for me. It was incredibly hard. There were a lot of dark days. I went into a depression because of it. And honestly, since then, I've come to know that I just have depression in general. And we can talk about that, I'm sure, a little later. But it was a really hard thing. And I hated who I was in a lot of ways back then.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really tough thing to go through as a young person. And to see you today, just so beautiful, thriving, and standing tall. When we're together, guys, just to give you guys a little context, if you don't know, I'm 5'1", Alicia's 6'6". When we're together, she never shrinks herself. She never comes down to my height. She's always elongated and beautiful, and I love that about her. And that's something I had to come to grips with. Like, I'm not growing, so I'm going to be the shorty all the time. And so two women standing together and confident in who they are. I know my story, but what did it take for you to get to that point where you didn't feel like you needed to shrink down or even, come down to someone else's level?
It is a daily process, to be honest with you. I had my big realization in college. So everyone always told me, you have to play basketball. You have to play basketball. And I didn't want to. It didn't come to me naturally. But when I realized that my family wasn't going to be able to pay for college, I said, well, let me give this a try because I can get some free school out of this. And I worked incredibly hard. I was in the gym every single day catching up. I'm still not as good as people thought I should be. They see somebody who's 6'3" walking into the gym. At that time I was 6'3", and they just think I should be like dunking or, doing those things. And just because you're tall doesn't mean it comes naturally to you, right? So there was also some bullying there that occurred as I was coming into my own, but I worked really hard. I got a full ride scholarship to the University of the Pacific in Stockton, California. It's a small D1 school. And when I got there, I had these beautiful teammates who were tall, Black, just loved themselves. I mean, there was no question of who they are, and they just love themselves. And I said, you can love yourself? Like, you can love your height? You can love being Black? Like, I just thought it was something that you just weren't supposed to like because all I knew were people bullying me about it. So when I got there and I said, well, if they can do it, I surely can. And I really realized that I was believing lies that people were telling me. They were telling me that being Black wasn't beautiful and that being tall was, I'm not normal because I'm tall, and what's normal anyways. And I was literally taking their opinion as fact and just hating myself for it. And when that realization, as small as it may seem, it was a huge movement for me because it just helped me to start building my confidence. And then, I've never looked back, but I always tell people that it's constant. There's always going to be something about yourself that you have to build up. Always. I don't care how old you are. There's always going to be something. And, I definitely still have to do it daily. I mean, there are people who make the dumbest comments about me being tall still, whether it be you shouldn't be wearing those heels, to calling me a giant, which is one of the reasons why I went on the show, is to reclaim the word. But I have to constantly be aware of the messages that are coming at me and combating those messages because they're not fact, they're not true.
You mentioned mental health and depression. That's something a lot of people struggle with. And also in the Black community, something that we don't talk about. We just are told to toughen up, get over it. When did you really understand that you were depressed, and what did you do to pull yourself out of that?
Well, when I was in high school and I would probably say, the lowest depression I've ever had before. Another thing that happened during that time is my brother was killed in a car accident. And on top of everything else that was happening, that really sent me into a spiral of depression. And I just got to the fact where I was planning my exit. I literally was planning it, and I said, I need help. And my parents knew that I was struggling, and they helped me the best way they could. But it was me coming to them saying, like, hey, we need to go do something, because I don't want to be here anymore. And I talked to a therapist. I was prescribed medication. I took the medication, and the medication actually wasn't good for my system. It actually intensified the feelings for me. And I think that, for the record, I think medication is something that can be really good for someone when they realize that they do have depression or mental health things that they need to address. But for me, my body, the way I reacted to it, it wasn't good. And once I realized that, I was able to use therapy in different ways to combat that. And I still go to therapy to this day. I think therapy is incredibly important. Talking to someone who doesn't have any stake in the game, because your parents, in your mind, they're supposed to love you, and they're supposed to lift you up, and they're supposed to do this. But talking to somebody who is very impartial, and they can just talk to you at a level that isn't, I guess, like tainted, it is very important in giving you the tools that really help you. Also, something that I found out when I started playing basketball consistently is working out. Some type of activity definitely helps me with mine. Every month, there's a couple days a month that I just can't get out of it, and I make myself run. I make myself do the things that I know kind of help with those moments. And I know that's not everyone's method of working on their mental health. But for me, that's what I've found to really help me, is that. And then also for me, my faith, just reminding myself that God created me, and he's there with me, and he's blazing the path for me. When I'm down, I just try to focus on that, because I know that he didn't make me to be depressed. It's something that I have, but he didn't make me for that, or to feel that. And even though those feelings are definitely valid, I just try to focus on that to help keep me during those moments.
And you have used your story and your platform to really inspire others. Tallswag.com. And you've really built a tribe through it. How has it been just being able to hear the stories of other women across the country, maybe the world, who have shared in the same kind of journey as you?
Man, it has been a blessing, because when I was that, tall kid in the hallway that was tripped by a group of kids and they yelled timber as I went down, all I wanted was for somebody to see me, understand me, and just know, what I had been through. And so when I built Tall Swag, that was exactly why I did it. It's not for money. It's not for fame or anything like that. It's literally to share my story for those who need to hear it. It's what I needed growing up. That's what Tall Swag is. It's a place to stand tall every day in every way. And I do that primarily by just saying, I understand where you're at. I get it. I see you. You are beautiful. These people don't understand it, but it's a gift from God. Yeah. So, I share my story, but I am inspired so much more by people telling me theirs, or saying that, you telling me this changed my world, or, I just thank you for the pants that you were wearing, because I needed a pair of pants that I couldn't find, and I needed to rock this outfit, and you helped me with that. So I don't care what it is on there, I built it for that. And even if I don't make any money off of it, to me, I'm wealthy in the fact that I'm inspiring people and they're inspiring me.
You've been amazing at inspiring, also sharing those fashion tips. I love seeing your fashion tips, even though may not be in the same category. I told you guys I'm vertically challenged over
But we
here.
get it. We get it on the opposite end. Like, sorry to interrupt, but we get it on the opposite end. Like, you might not be able to find pants that are like, I don't want to say short, but the length that you need, just like I can't. I tell people like we can relate more than probably somebody who's like in the middle because we get it on the opposite ends.
Yeah, totally. And not only through advice about fashion, but you've also used your platform now as the upcoming election is getting ready to come up with t-shirts with a message. Tell me about that message and what are you hoping to bring out as we get ready for November?
Yeah, so voting, as we all know, is so incredibly important. I'm not going to get into the logistics of who I will be voting for, but just know that a change needs to be made. So, I'm not trying to push my actual political agenda on people, but I want people to exercise their right to vote. Like, get out there and do it. It absolutely changes on so many levels. People don't understand that the local elections are even more important than like the big elections that we have. Well, they're all big. Let's be clear. And so I just want to get that knowledge out there more, and I want people to spread it around. And one of the ways to do that is just by making a statement. And so I made statement tees that say "Tall Girls Vote," "Stand Tall and Vote." I mean, I just think that statement, people will be like, "What are you talking about?" It makes conversation, and the more conversation we can have about it, the more awareness we have about it, and the more change will be made when people actually go out and vote. So. I just want to do my part. And, I love, as you said, I built a tribe. I built a community of people that are tall and love it. And I want them to be able to express this in that way as well. So I actually launched those today. I haven't even put them up on my site yet because, I just haven't had time. Like you probably understand this pandemic. I'm busy. I'm busy during it.
You're grinding, girl.
Yes,
Manifesting.
yes. Super busy. And so, but they are up on tallswag.com /shop. So go on there and check that out. But literally, I just want people to vote. And I was thinking of the ways to do that. And I think this is a great way to show that you are a voter and that, spark some conversation that will lead other people to vote as well.
That's awesome. I think even the importance of the power of your platform and what are you using it for? And I think you and I had this conversation recently about understanding how you can create impact. And everyone isn't a frontline activist. Everyone, has their own calling. And so understanding what your calling is and how you can use the tools in front of you to speak up and speak out about the things that are important to you. And I think social media has been just as even more so as we've all been quarantined, sheltering in place, social distancing, whatever. These days, we've understood the power of communication and the power of storytelling and using our platforms to be able to speak up. If you have one person in your audience or thousands, it is a tool that will help you spread the message quickly. And so as you've been exploring Tall Swag even more, what have you learned through, I guess, as you've seen the impact that you've made, obviously with the tribe that you've built, how powerful your platform has become?
I've seen it on many levels. I've seen it a lot with younger tall girls. And that has that's blown my mind because it's literally who I was, when I needed the platform. And they're speaking out and super passionate about everything just as much as like somebody who has been voting for years and has seen all the changes that have need to be made for years. It's like they're almost wiser than their years, if that makes sense. And the things that that generation has been doing has been blowing my mind. Because when you talk about being in your lane, yeah, I mean, when you talk about being in your lane and making change in your way, like the creative ways that they've even been making change is like, I would never even have thought to do that. And they're doing it, and they're passionate about it. And like my niece is in that generation. And she'll keep me up to date more than anybody else will, She sends me stuff all the time and I'm like, thank you for the update because I did not see that anywhere. I don't know where you found it, but thank you. So I would say like the younger tall girls have been blowing me away with just the voices that they're using and the ways that they're using it. But I just people's reactions to the posts that I put, people saying thank you for giving me a point of view that I never have seen before. People actually putting action behind the words that they say. That's been something that has been amazing to see. And I just pray that it keeps going because that's what we need.
Yeah, and we need more of the paying it forward, reaching back, bringing the next generation on. And as you mentioned, seeing the young people really just not even need any kind of motivation really to mobilize. They get out there, they go after it, and they really are resourceful. They're using all the tools and technology that's right in front of them to become founders at young ages or become, activists and creating movements all on their own. And I think it's just so important for our generation and even the generation ahead of us to really reach back and to do our part into providing the stair steps that they need to be able to be the chain that connects them to the right resources and the right people, and to just be that inspiration. I think that inspires me just as much as I want to do for myself and the women that are my peers. I want to do so much more for the generations to follow, because they are our future. And it's just been incredible to watch. And I think about the generations to follow us, but I think about the generations ahead of us too. And we're going to talk about our Woman of the Week. Every week on the Link Up, we highlight an amazing woman that everyone knows. No one on the planet, I probably don't think there's one person who doesn't know this name, Michelle Obama. And we watched this woman come into the spotlight. She didn't really necessarily ask for it. We read her story, we listened to her documentary and all of the things. She just kind of, took the side of her husband and was his support system. But the thing I loved about seeing Michelle Obama was that she stood tall through so much. Like, people really came for her, Alicia. Like, they came for her image. They came for her height. They came for her demeanor. She looked too angry. And a lot of times as Black women, we get that. Like, you're the angry Black woman. They came for the fact that, they really came after her in so many ways, bullying, cyberbullying. And she went through a lot, and she discussed a lot of that through her Becoming documentary and her book. And I just think, I find it incredible to see, and we all know her famous quote, when they go low, when they go low, you go high. And I think that, she just is the epitome of grace, and just, she was so poised and never let any of that shake her. Even if it did shake her to the core, we never saw that externally. And that is the kind of role model that I want my daughter to have. And that's the kind of role model I want for myself to see in the Oval Office. And when you saw her walk in, all 5'11" of her, and just how she just handled herself to even becoming an icon in fashion, what did she do for you when you saw Michelle Obama really come onto the scene?
Man, there haven't been a lot of tall women, I guess, in the media, or, besides, I would say athletes, obviously, from a young age, from when I started playing basketball, I was more cognizant of that. But you just don't every day see a tall woman just like bust on the scene and say, I am who I am, I love who I am, and I don't really care what you say, but in a graceful way. And she's been inspiring on so many levels, like as a first lady, as a mother, as a Black woman. I mean, I honestly can't think of another person that I would, if I could pick somebody to be, I would be like, yeah, Michelle Obama, obviously. But I actually had the opportunity to meet her. And I had to stop myself from bawling because I don't think you realize how much of an impact that someone like that really does have on you in the situations that you go through. Seeing her go through that and the way that she handled it helped me with my own situation where I went through being the angry Black woman and my presence just being a threat to somebody, and when I actually met her, I literally was overwhelmed with emotion because she did that for me on those days where I just was like, I just can't even be myself. I can't walk through this office and be me. She gave me that inspiration of, yes, you absolutely can, and so, she was rocking her heels when we met. I was rocking mine. We had a conversation about it. We had a conversation about tall swag, and she told me to keep doing what I was doing. And, we don't realize how much we need to see that. Yeah, we see so many things and experience so many things on a daily basis that really leave a mark on us without us knowing it. And we need Michelle Obama. We need to see people we need to be those people. We need to be the person who handles things with grace to show the people in our lives that it can be done. To, rectify the way that we have to feel on a daily basis, unfortunately, because of the way that society views us and handles who we are.
Yeah. Michelle Obama is everything. And I always said 3 people that I would want to do dinner with: Oprah, Michelle, and Sarah Jessica Parker. Those are my 3. I'm going to keep putting it out there. Maybe it'll happen.
You know what? Can you invite me to the table? Because I would love to come.
I will.
Yeah.
So, side note, this is my dream. I'm going to keep putting these things out there.
Do it. Manifest.
I don't know if you remember back in the day on Oprah's show, and as you know, I've come from television news. And so obviously Oprah has been my major role model. I was able to go to her last season of her show in Chicago and see everything. But I remember her Legends dinner that she had at or Legends weekend, really, that she hosted at her home, at her estate. And she brought all of these women who were trailblazers and just impactful and just important women to Black culture. And she brought them all there, treated them like royalty. And it was a beautiful experience. So I always say, when I get to that point, I want to throw a legacy dinner or a weekend one day. Hopefully I will get there and invite Oprah and Michelle and all of my wonderful friends in my head.
Oh, you will. Not hopefully. You will get there. And so it is. And I'm just going to invite myself. So I'm coming.
Yeah, you already have an invitation. I'm so proud of you and all that you're doing. Thank you so much. And besides Tall Swag, you're a podcaster, you're also an influencer. Anything else you have going on that you want to tell us about as we wrap up?
Yeah, so we've been talking about storytelling, and I definitely love to tell stories. And I'm working on 2 projects. One is called Bit, and it's about being a small part of something bigger. And it's a view of what it's like to be a person of color in the Silicon Valley and in tech. So I'm working on that. We have been having some VIP screenings, which I will invite you to the next one, all virtual, obviously, due to COVID. Also, I'm working on Black Butterflies. So it is a documentary about self-care through the lens of do-rags. So I'll tell you more about that, but that's a documentary that I'm working on, and that actually would be my first producer credit. So nice. I'm working on that. And then also, I need to tell my full story. I've shared a little bit of it with you today, but it's there's a lot of layers to it. So I am almost done with my book proposal. So so I'm working on that.
I remember you talking about this. Yes.
Yeah. So I am manifesting that like crazy. I'm praying about it. I'm talking to God about it every day because writing is something that I love, and I definitely need to tell that story because he's built it. So I'm working on that. And there's a bazillion other things too. I'm planting seeds like crazy. I'm definitely in kind of like a harvest type of mode right now, which is really important for everyone to understand, because there are times when you definitely are like picking those things that you planted, but there are times when you're planting them too. And so I'm in that process right now with a lot of different projects, which I'm really excited about.
Alicia Jay, I'm so proud of you. You are tall, beautiful, loving, and you're going to do even more incredible work. And we are so, so happy to have you on our show. Thanks for spending some time with us. And you guys make sure to follow her at Tall Swag on social media. And don't forget to follow us at Link Media. That's at LNQ Media. And make sure to keep it right here every week on Wednesdays for the next episode of The Link Up. We'll see you next time.